Hello, dear students. Today's topic is cybersecurity. Today we will consider types of cybersecurity with a focus on viruses, principles of computer security, antivirus software, and safety tips to cybercrime. The internet that is widely used nowadays has its biggest disadvantage: illegal cyber activities. Crimes committed using a computer and the internet to steal a person's identity or illegal imports or malicious programs. Cybersecurity refers to the technologies and processes designed to protect computers, networks, and data from an unauthorized access and attacks delivered via the internet by cybercriminals. Thus, cybersecurity is important for the network, data, and application security. The objective of cybersecurity is to establish rules and measures to use against attacks over the internet. There are several types of cybersecurity: hacking, phishing, denial of service, spam email, spyware and adware, malware, ATM skimming and point-of-scale crimes, and ransomware. Hacking. Hacking is an illegal intrusion into a computer system and or network. It is also known as cracking. Government websites are the hot targets of the hackers due to the press coverage it receives. Phishing. A fraudulent attempt usually made through email to steal your personal information, obtain sensitive information such as username, password, and credit card details, often for malicious reasons through an electronic communication. A common online phishing scam starts with an email message that appears to come from a trusted source, but actually directs recipients to provide information to a fraudulent website. The next, we'll see how phishing works. The fraudsters build fake site and send thousands of phishing emails with link to fake websites. Then victims click on link in email believing it's legitimate. They enter personal information, and then fraudsters receive that information and compile it to sell in online or use it themselves. The next type of cybercrimes are denial of service. This is an act by the criminals who flood the bandwidth of the victim networks. In the DOS attack, a hacker uses a single internet connection to either exploit a software vulnerability or flood a target with fake requests, usually in an attempt to exhaust server resources. On the other hand, DDoS attacks are launched from multiple connected devices that are distributed across the internet. As you see here, DOS it's when a single host attacks the computer, and DDoS when multiple hosts attack simultaneously and continuously. Here you see the scheme how DDoS attack looks like. Spam email. This is the electronic version of junk email. It involves sending unwanted messages, often unsolicited advertising, to a large number of recipients. Spam is a serious security concern, as it can be used to deliver Trojan horses, viruses, worms, spyware, and targeted phishing attacks. Malware. It's malicious software which is specifically designed to disrupt a damaged computer system or mobile device. Hackers use malware for any number of reasons, such as extracting personal information and passwords, stealing money, or preventing owners from accessing their device. One type of malware is viruses. They are programs that attach themselves to a computer or a file and then circulate themselves to other files and to other computers on a network. They usually affect the data on a computer and mobile device, either by altering or deleting it. Another type of malware are worms. They, unlike viruses, do not need the host to attach themselves. They merely make functional copies of themselves and do this repeatedly till they eat up all the available space on the computer's memory. Trojan is a type of malware that pretends to be something useful, helpful, or fun, while actually causing harm or stealing data. Trojans are often silently downloading other malware, such as spyware, adware, or ransomware, on an infected device as well. Trojans can infect you in places where you might not expect it, such as emails, downloads, and more. It's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes to avoiding this type of malware. Spyware is a type of malware that hackers use to spy on you in order to gain access to your personal information, banking details, or online activity. We should protect ourselves by an anti-spyware tool. And adware. Adware is a type of malware that bombards you with endless ads and pop-up windows that could potentially be dangerous for your device. The best way to remove adware is to use an adware removal tool. Ransomware or rogueware is as scary as it sounds. Hackers use this technique to lock you out of your devices and demand a ransom money in return for access. Ransomware puts you in a sticky situation, so it's best to know how to avoid it. The most dangerous ransomware attacks are caused by WannaCry, Petya, Cerber, and Loki. The next type of cybercrimes are ATM skimming and point-of-scale crimes. It is a technique of compromising the ATM machine by installing a skimming device on the top of machine keypad to appear as genuine keypad, or a device made to be affixed to the card reader to look like a part of the machine. Additionally, malware that steals credit card data directly can also be installed on these devices. Successful implementation of skimmers cause an ATM machine to collect card numbers and personal identification number codes that are later replicated to carry out fraudulent transactions. Here you can see the percentage of cyber attacks, how widely each of them are used. So now we'll see what a virus is and what are the types of these that are used in the internet. Virus is a malicious set of code meant to harm you and your computer. This is especially written, as a rule, small in size program which has become its own goal to write its copies into computer programs. The main task of the virus itself is to take control of the computer. The type of viruses are, as we already saw, email viruses, spyware, Trojan horses, worms, and so on. So viruses are divided by their environment. Network viruses, they spread across different computer networks. File viruses are introduced mainly into executable modules, files that have the .com and .exe extension. File viruses can be embedded in other types of files, but in these cases they will never get control, so they lose the ability to multiply. Virus satellites for each file with an .exe extension create a file with the same name, but with a COM extension containing the body of the virus. Such files get control over computer. Boot viruses are introduced in the boot sector of the disk or to the sector containing the master boot record. File boot viruses infect both files and boot sectors of disks. In applications running in the Windows environment, there are small program elements, macros, which automatically perform some programmed actions. Viruses that are embedded in these macros and not only distort the document, but are stored in it and participate in the distribution process are called macroviruses. So here you see all the types of viruses we have. Next, viruses have two methods of infection. Resident viruses are in memory and are active before the computer is turned off or restarted. Non-resident viruses do not infect the computer's RAM and are active for a limited time. We also have different types of viruses due to their degree of exposure. Non-dangerous viruses do not interfere with the computer, but sensitively reduce the free area of RAM and disks. They do not have destructive effects and knowingly do not distort or destroy information, but are engaged in framing and issuing various extraneous messages. Dangerous viruses, if they only occasionally spoil the data and do not lead to serious consequences. If destructive actions as loss of programs, destruction of data, and erasure of information in the system area of the disk occur frequently and significantly damage the computer, then the computer has very dangerous virus. According to the algorithm, viruses divide into parasitic viruses. They change the contents of files and disk sectors and are very easy to detect and destroy. Worms, or replicators, they are distributed over computer networks and determine the addresses of the computer on the network and record copies of their body to these addresses. Next, we have invisible viruses or stealth viruses. They are very hard to detect. They preempt the operating system's calls to infected files and sectors of disk and substitute uninfected areas of the disk for virus body. Also, we have mutant viruses, which are also difficult to detect. They contain encryption-decryption algorithms through which copies of the same virus do not have a single repetitive string of bytes. And next, quasi-virus or Trojan programs, also not capable of self-propagation, are very dangerous because they masquerade as a useful program and destroy the boot sector and the file system. But we have especially designed programs called antiviruses. They scan files or your computer's memory for certain patterns that may indicate an infection. The patterns it looks for are based on the signatures or fingerprints of known viruses. Once a virus is detected in the wild, the antivirus companies then release these new patterns for your antivirus software to use. These updates come out daily by some vendors. Virus authors are continually releasing new and updated viruses, so it's important that you have the latest definitions installed on your computer. There are the following types of antivirus programs. The first one, detector programs. They search for a virus-specific sequence of bytes in RAM and in files, and when detected, issue a corresponding message. The disadvantage of such antivirus program is that they can find only those viruses that are known to the developers of such programs. Doctor or phage program. As well as vaccine programs not only find virus-infected files, but also treat them. For example, delete the body of the virus program from the file, return the files to their original state. Auditor programs, the most reliable means of protecting against viruses. The auditors remember the initial state of programs, directories, and system regions of the disk, but the computer is not infected with the virus. Filter programs, guardians, are small resident programs designed to detect suspicious actions when the computer is working, typically for viruses. And vaccine programs, or immunizers. They are resident programs that prevent infection of files. Vaccines are used if they are if there are no doctor programs treating this virus. Here you may see different types of antivirus software that is mainly used in Windows operating system. So we have free antivirus programs and paid antivirus programs. And many of you, or each of you, know at least one antivirus program that is shown here. Also, Windows antivirus software have a secondary defense. They are Malwarebytes, Spybot, Microsoft malicious software removal tool, or firewall, Windows Firewall, Kaspersky Firewall, and others. And the last, you need to know some safety tips against cybercrime. Firstly, you need to use antivirus software, insert firewalls. You need to be able to uninstall unnecessary software and maintain backup. Often check security settings and never give your full name or address to strangers. And surely you need to learn more about the internet privacy. So this is all. Now you know more about types of cybercrimes and how you may avoid them. Thank you for the lecture. Goodbye.